You may be saying, great, this is great, I can do this in social studies class, I'll use this, whatever. But I have some suggestions about how you could level these and make it really effective for any level class. And we're not going to go through every single idea that I've ever thought of about how to level it. But I wanted you all to have this handout because I think that these leveling suggestions would be really helpful in any kind of class where you're doing any kind of reading or writing. So basically every class should be doing reading and writing, even math and science. So if I was going to do this with a more basic level, what are some ideas that you would have to do this more basically? Any ideas? How could you do a project like this on a lower level than I did it? You can read something that I suggested, or you can just like say something that like you would do differently.
Maybe spend time on vocabulary development.
Totally. Yeah, definitely.
So like, if we're talking about like the mayoral race, what are the vocabulary? What's the vocabulary needed to understand what's going on, right? Like, or like basic things like why do we have like what are the differences between somebody like Tommy Wells who's on the council, versus someone else who's not, things like that. What ward you live in, how does that play a role?
Definitely.
Things like basic things that you need to know in order, right, to understand what's going on.
Absolutely. So like at a higher level class, you might include information like that just directly in a reading that's integrated into the information you're giving about the candidates. So in the article about Muriel Bowser from the Washington Post, they're going to talk about why DC council members have a better chance at winning an election. But if you're teaching at a lower level class, maybe you want to do that more explicitly. You want to have a class focused on what are the politics of DC, why does the Democratic primary mean a lot more than the Republican primary in DC, and you might want to do that more explicitly as like teacher standing in front of the class or having students coming up and kind of reading different things, unpacking that in different ways. So that's a really great suggestion. Yeah.
Also, how the DC City Council is legislative and then judicial. Because I noticed you had the executive.
Yeah, we actually covered that in class, that we talked about all those three different things, and that's something I absolutely implemented because I thought it was really important to kind of replicate. We talked about this like branches of government on a federal scale, but then how does that apply to DC? Because DC, it's not typical, right? It doesn't really match up. It matches up with branches of government, but not in the same way that a state system might. So we went into that a lot of detail. But if I had been teaching it at a higher level class, I would have given them a reading for homework and expected them to have that information coming in. So some other suggestions I had to make this a little bit more basic if you had either a lower level class or just less time to complete it, is leveling the initial readings. So I gave them just straight up Washington Post articles, which I typically wouldn't do in an intermediate class. They're a little bit high level, but because I knew they were just mining it for information for that like dates and ages and hometowns, I knew that I could give them those readings. But you could level the reading, so that's either pulling out the essential information or editing for language, like Jamie talked about. You could split up the assignment. So I gave this to students as a packet, and I said, do it. 5 classes later, have this done. But I could have done it part by part. I could have said, here's one part, let's do it all together, check over it. Here's the second part, do it all together, check over it, and basically had more monitoring of each step of the assignment, even though I did monitor every step as well in the packet form. There's a lot of different ways that you could amend the different parts of the assignment, and I'll let you read over those on your own. But another idea is scaffolding. That's kind of mentioned before, that you just want to give readers or learners mini lessons on different things that they might need to know before they're doing the packet. And the last thing is just having different expectations for a final project. So lower level learners might not be writing full sentences or essays or paragraphs. They might be giving you bulleted points. And that's okay, because that's the level that they're expected to achieve at that level before they move on to the next level. And it's not saying you can't do those next level things. It's saying this is what I expect while you're learning these concepts at this level. So it's not lowering expectations, it's making expectations reasonable for every level, and not say like pushing people who've never written an essay to write an essay in social studies when they haven't gotten to that in their writing class. Intermediate level is project as I presented it. More advanced, I'd give them less time to do it. I'd give them less scaffolding. I'd modify some of the parts to make it more challenging and difficult in terms of the reading levels. But again, at every level, I'm doing every single depth of knowledge level. And for a college prep assignment, if I have any students who are headed towards college, I might just give it as a research assignment, just plain text on one sheet of paper, say, here's the rubric, here's what you need to present at the end. I'm not giving you every part separately. I'm not breaking down how to do a research paper or how to write an argument. I'm telling you, give me an argument. So those are just some different ideas I had for leveling this project. But like I said, these suggestions kind of go for any kind of level class. They would be really useful, I think, in any context.